Hi guys, it's Mariella from Binary Option Sheriff. In this post today we will be discussing Bitcoin, but this is going to be just the first of a series of posts that we are going to be discussing cryptocurrencies, blockchain, Ethereum. We're going to discuss ICOs, how to buy Bitcoin or fractions, Ethereum, and store them safely, which is extremely important. We're going to see how you can gain with ICOs, what you should be looking out for. So if you want to get the full package of what I'm going to be posting in this video, along with the other videos that are going to follow, first of all, I recommend that you subscribe to this YouTube channel and also get as much information as possible. But apart from that, I am also giving free ebooks where all these posts are written, so you will have an easy point of reference. They are highly visualized and they have been written specifically in layman's language, and this is the difference between this post that I'm going to be doing and plenty of others that you can find on YouTube where they will have a lot of technical jargon. My point is that Bitcoin, for example, which is our topic today, is exposed to less than 1% of the population. And if you're smiling at this, it's the truth. And less than 1% of the population know what Bitcoin is about, or what it is, or how it's mined. So this is what we are going to be discussing in a language that is available for everyone. So let me start off and discuss exactly what is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is the first cryptocurrency ever created. It is the first decentralized cryptocurrency. So you're probably thinking, right, and she says she's going to talk layman's language. So before I can explain decentralized, I should explain what centralized is. And that is basically the cash that we use on a daily basis, whether it's euros, whether it's dollars. All these currencies, which are also incidentally called fiat currencies, FIAT, in case you didn't know that before, all these currencies are centralized to the government or to the country where they are issued. So basically, if you're looking at the US dollar, in the past, the US dollar used to be backed by gold, as was the euro. This does not apply anymore. Today, a centralized currency, like US dollar, is backed only by the economic state of the country where it is issued. So when you have countries like, for example, Venezuela, places in Africa, Argentina, who have very high volatility on their exchange rates because the governments are unstable, for them, having a centralized currency doesn't help them, and that's why they try to accumulate other currencies such as US dollar or euro, which are a lot more stable. But what if I told you that there is another currency, in this case, this is what we're going to discuss, and that's Bitcoin, which does not depend on the economic state or how the president of a particular country woke up and decided to do with the economic state of a country, but that is completely decentralized and is only, the price is only affected by demand and supply. And this is Bitcoin. So how was Bitcoin created? There's a little bit of a legend around Bitcoin, and that is because the person who created it, or a number of people who created it, go by a fictitious name which is called Satoshi Nakamoto. So Satoshi Nakamoto prefers to remain anonymous, and although in the beginning he used to post a lot about Bitcoin and about the white paper he wrote, and I'll tell you about that in a minute, he has gone completely offline and no one knows what has happened to Satoshi Nakamoto. But Satoshi Nakamoto had a vision, and his vision was very simple, and that is to create a system whereby payments can be made from peer to peer, from person to person, without needing the middlemen in between, without needing banks, without needing PayPal, without needing any financial institution. So completely doing away with the middlemen, and just literally imagine if I want to transfer money from me to you, whoever is watching this video, I can do it at the touch of a button. Of course, that would pose a few problems because I would not be sure whether you've given me value for the money I'm going to give you, and you are not sure whether I've sent you the payment. And this was the beauty of how Bitcoin was created, and it was created on the basis of blockchain. Now, blockchain is actually the script that supports the technology that supports Bitcoin in the way it is transacted and in the way that the process of payment is verified. I will have another video which will explain exactly how blockchain works. However, as far as the purposes of Bitcoin transactions are concerned, I can tell you a few very important things about Bitcoin, and that is that every transaction which is done on the blockchain related to Bitcoin, and the purpose, remember, of Bitcoin was simply to make a peer-to-peer payment without the need of a third party, but with absolute watertight verification and with an irreversible effect. So if I've transferred Bitcoin from A to B, it is not reversible. You will probably be asking, but is it traceable? Do you know who owns Bitcoin? The answer is that the blockchain has all the answers. So actually, every transaction can be traced back to its original owner. However, every time there is a transaction from one peer to another of a whole Bitcoin or of a fraction of Bitcoin, and a fraction of Bitcoin incidentally is called a Satoshi after its namesake, there is a new generation of digits and alphabet numbers, which are called the keys, and I will explain about the keys, which makes each transaction unique and verified. So every Bitcoin transaction has two keys. It has the private keys and the public keys. Now, the public keys are the keys that are available on all the ledgers. So imagine there are 1 million computers, and 1 million computers are all recording the transaction of my payment to you at the same time. So this becomes immutable and unerasable. However, once I have transferred my coin to you, you also get, along with your public key, a private key from me. And the private key is the key that you will need to unlock your own Bitcoin and in turn transfer them to another person. So the private key is extremely important, and whenever you hear of these terrible situations where Bitcoin has been hacked, it is only because and for the simple reason that the private keys are stolen. Bitcoin itself cannot be stolen. However, access to your private wallet, to your private keys, can be accessed if you don't store it carefully. This will be the basis of another video that I will be doing later on, in the way you can purchase Bitcoin and store them safely. As we said, the function of Bitcoin at the very beginning is very simple, and that the whole scope of Bitcoin was to do away with central governments, do away with fluctuations in payments because of government and economic policy, and only relate to demand and supply. So the whole point of Bitcoin was to use it in transaction and everyday transactions. However, what is happening in reality today and why we are seeing this unbelievable explosion in price, just to tell you that at the beginning of the year, the value of one Bitcoin was less than $1,000, whereas today it's literally on the verge of jumping into the 10,000 bracket. I mean, that is phenomenal. And that is why there is so much interest. Why is the price rising so high? Well, there are various factors why the price is rising so high, which include, for example, the fact that Japan has acknowledged Bitcoin to be legal tender. So for the skeptics who keep saying that Bitcoin is a bubble and it will burst and one day it will go away and you will have nothing, I tend to not believe this, because the fact that countries are acknowledging it as a legal source of payment, it means that there is an acknowledgement that it has value. Whether the price will continue rising as much is a different question, or whether it will readjust, that is a different question, because at the moment, the reason also why the price is going so phenomenally high and rising so high is the fact that a lot of people are putting in fresh fiat money into Bitcoin in order to use it as an investment, as a source from which you will have capital growth. So actually, what we are seeing at the moment is that there is a lot more interest in people to hold Bitcoin as a means of investment for future capitalization. So these are the different reasons why the price is moving about. Of course, China has just banned all its exchanges because it can't control the movement of Bitcoin. It has also declared ICOs, which we will dedicate a full post for ICOs and why they are interesting and why some of them are scams and what you should be careful and what you should be looking at, the finer points that you should be looking at before investing in an ICO, in another video. However, China has also banned ICOs because there is no control. However, there are also plenty of reviews saying that China has only banned this temporarily until it can make its legal framework. So it would appear that the governments are cognizant of the fact that Bitcoin is having value. Just one more interesting thing about Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is literally mined. So how do you earn Bitcoin? Or other than going onto an open exchange and buying Bitcoin, you can actually mine Bitcoin. And mining is really very simple. Actually, it's not that simple, but as I said, I would explain it in layman's words, in layman's terms. Bitcoin is mined by using an electrical source and a mega computer to solve a very complicated mathematical riddle, which, if you manage to do, you are rewarded in fractions of Bitcoin and Satoshis. So just like you would have a gold mine, where you will hire miners who will go and physically dig up gold, and you have to pay them for their time and for their tools and for actually acquiring the land which will potentially give you the gold, which is the gold mine. In the same manner, Bitcoin is mined by investing in the infrastructure of mega computers as well as in electricity and human element of people who are actually solving these mathematical formulas. Miners are also paid by verifying the payment system, and the payment system which is supported by blockchain. So whenever a miner or a team of miners get first to verifying, which is called the proof of work, that a transaction between A and B is happening, they are also awarded fractions of Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is not inexhaustible. Bitcoin has a market cap of 21 million Bitcoins. And that is also another reason why the price of Bitcoin keeps increasing. So far, something around 17 million Bitcoin has been mined. But it's envisaged that every time the mathematical formula becomes more and more complicated, that the rest of the 4 million Bitcoins still to be mined, it might take us all the way up to 2040 for all the Bitcoins to have been mined from the original concept and white paper of Satoshi Nakamoto. So what is all this fuss about the white paper? The white paper is basically the declaration of intent, let's put it this way. It is what Satoshi Nakamoto wrote in the way he dreamt how he would actually create this decentralized cryptocurrency. So basically what he wrote is that the intention was clearly to use Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer payment, and that it would not be dependent on any government. It would be completely in the cloud and does not depend on any economic influence other than the demand for the coin itself, and that, of course, it would have to work on a system that is blockchain. Now, if you're interested to know in the mechanics of how blockchain works, then I would ask you to please subscribe, because I will be doing another video which will explain how blockchain actually works, and that blockchain goes way beyond the scope and use of Bitcoin. So this was my first video. If you would like to have the full ebook about cryptocurrencies, blockchain, ICOs, and how you could actually make money with Bitcoin and with ICOs, then please either just drop me your email address in the comment box below, or else you can also send me an email on support@binaryoptionsheriff.com. There's plenty to come. It's valuable information, and I hope that it's information that you can understand and relate to. Please don't hesitate to ask me any questions, so that if I've missed anything, I will come back with another post. Thank you for following.